What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single video. It's time to recap the 7th episode of the 8th season of Teen Mom 2. The episode kicks off with Kail and her friend going for a walk around her neighborhood when Kail reveals that she's really upset that her fellow Teen Mom 2 castmate Jenelle Evans actually leaked the news of her pregnancy via, Twitter. She had tweeted her a public congratulations without texting her first, and that really pissed off Kail. First of all, because she had yet to do her 20-week ultrasound scan, and second of all because she knew that people were already be upset with her about all of it because we were all under the impression that she didn't want any more kids. And she said that in kind of a condescending, sarcastic tone, as if even if we all thought that she wanted more kids, we would automatically think it would be normal for her to have kids in this way in the midst of a freaking divorce and a deployment and stuff like that. It was a really rough scene to look at for a couple of reasons. Meanwhile, in Florida, Briana tells her sister Brittany about how she told Lewis about the things that he has to do in order to retain parental rights upon the birth of Stella. The conversation, as usual, was complete with cursing, and it all took place in front of Nova, again, as per usual. There's just something about this family that bugs the hell out of me. I really thought I would like them, but so far I just feel like there's a certain level of darkness that they bring to the show. For example, after this really heavy conversation about how hard life would be raising the two kids, we see them, the whole family, drive with Briana to the ultrasound clinic. And again, it's I feel like it's not that Briana's going through anything specifically heavy that is heavier than Allie's disability or Kail having 3 kids by 3 men and stuff like that. I think it's a combination of how heavy her storyline is paired with how real it is in comparison to the other girls. Whereas, Kail's all willy-nilly having this random kid with this guy who is probably not going to be in the life of it, according to herself. And she doesn't care at all. She's not worried. And she doesn't even have family to help her. That's not what real young mothers, even middle-aged mothers, that's not something that they go through, so it seems light, so it seems a lot lighter than it is. Meanwhile, we're seeing Briana having to depend on her family so much. She's living with her family with her 6-year-old child. She's about to have another one. They're all fitting into one car to go places. It's just a regular car. It's not like this upgraded, souped up, customized one that the other girls have. I think that's why it seems like all of her scenes are particularly dark and heavy compared to the other girls, even though she's not even dealing with anything that's all out of the ordinary for the Teen Mom world, if that makes sense to you guys. And speaking of Allie, Leah takes her and the rest of the girls to the park with her cousin Chastity and another random new car, and she tells Chastity about how a teacher reached out to her to let her know that Allie keeps falling in class. You just never want to hear about anybody's kids being in pain, so I can only imagine how Leah handles something like that on a daily basis. And so she also lets us know that a teacher in the school has offered to kind of connect Allie with an aide in order to help her out with, physical tasks. Leah later tells Allie over lunch about how the teacher reached out to her and told her about all the falling going on in school and hurting her legs. She asks Allie about her wheelchair usage and tells her that she'll try to get her an aide, and Allie says that she also doesn't get to eat fast enough or finish her food at lunch. So you guys, again, my heart really breaks for Allie in this scene. She's such a sweet little angel, and she's got too much to go through. Over in Janelle's world, she's still whining about not getting to go to the gym, and then she makes this weird statement about how they don't have gym equipment, but she'll exercise on her land. And sometimes you're like, do you have to say the land all the time? At a certain point, she, David, Marissa, and Kaiser had to drive to the store, and Kaiser starts crying for water, and David literally threatens him with a timeout, which was his nose in the corner or something like that. And Jenelle literally tells him, Kaiser, you don't need to cry over everything. And it's, just so jarring because what is Kaiser, 2? 3? He's a baby, he's a toddler. What do you mean he doesn't have to cry over everything? And for David, on the other hand, to be I'll give you a timeout if you don't stop crying. He's thirsty. Should you not have water on hand for a child? I'm pretty sure with kids that young, you're supposed to carry something with you, snacks, milk, water, yogurt, I don't know, something. They probably don't even walk around with diapers for that child, those weirdos. Anyway, they go pick up Jace, and David complains that Barbara had him dressed like a hillbilly, which was really ironic considering the fact that David cannot speak English, which is his one and only language, okay? And he cannot speak this one and only language to the point where we need subtitles for him. pot meat kettle, right? Over on Chelsea's farm, Aubree plays with a new chicken and ducks kind of roughly, and Chelsea gives her a talk about treating the animals gently. She also actually has to ban Aubree from holding them alone without supervision after the way she was shaking that chicken before throwing it back in the damn pen. You guys, Chelsea did not come to play this episode. Usually like her attempts at disciplining Aubree are cringe-tastic because it's always like her practically begging the child to behave with these half-assed attempts at counting to 3 like 20 times over. But this time she was absolutely stern. She gave like the death stare and everything, which was good because this is such a serious topic. Like you have to nip this kind of behavior in the bud before it grows. One thing I have to say about this whole scene, in defense of my little Jace, I haven't seen like all of the comments online or pretty much any comments about the episode, but what I will say though is that I bet the comments that have been posted online about this episode are nowhere near what they would have been were it Jace who was, you know, being so rough with animals like that. You know what I mean? I feel like most people would have been like, see, I told you he's a serial killer in the making. Like, look, he just admitted that he was not playing gently with the animals, even though he knew he had to. So it's just so funny. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to see a single comment claiming that Aubree is a serial killer in the making. Actually, you know what? That's a lie. I did see Randy have to fight with quite a few people online about how Aubree was treating the animals. But again, I am going to maintain my statement and say it's nowhere near as bad as it would have been if the roles were reversed and it was the scene featuring Jace. Kayla gets a lot of screen time this episode as she and her friend talk about her blog, announcing the pregnancy, and Kayla claims that all the comments are amazing, so supportive and kind, and I'm like, bullshit, girl. Like, first of all, there's nothing positive about this situation. If I had a friend who made these kinds of reckless life decisions, they would have been cut off ages ago. I don't have friends who make stupid decisions with their lives like this. They're cut the fuck off as soon as they do this type of stuff. Sorry for my language, but the way she's living her life is reckless, irresponsible, selfish, disgusting, and despicable. Okay, and I do not believe that everybody who read her blog left her positive comments. In fact, I remember her publishing that blog and reading a bunch of really awful comments, which were true, that the decisions she makes are really harmful to her children. In fact, she claims it was 25 really nice comments, and we all know they're coming from Sterling. Back to Briana though, Lewis actually meets with her and her family at the ultrasound appointment, and Brianna's mom talks to him about how she feels like he's going to be a deadbeat dad because he's already proven to be a deadbeat dad to his first child. Like at first he seemed kind of receptive to conversation with her, but as soon as Mama DeJesus called his ass out and dragged him out on Front Street, he shut down. He seemed pissed off about being put on blast on air, and I was living for every last second of it. I'm loving this mom of hers. She's really fiercely protective, which was good. It's just too bad she didn't instill common sense, like self-respect and basic values into Brianna. Like, come on. Lewis is really the gift that keeps on giving though, you guys. Remember how the last time when they were talking about adoption for the first time ever, he was like, even if I'm not around, I know you could be a strong mama. And it was like, all right, what the hell did you just say? This time around, he's like, you know what? I might not be around for my child every day, but I'm a good dad. No, that's not the way it works. Back on the land, Jace actually plots his escape as Jenelle changes Kaiser. He gets on the dirt bike but learns that Jenelle hid the damn key, so he'll have to go and steal the four-wheeler instead off of Kaiser, who later went outside after being changed. And David had a super nice nephew over there who actually rescued Kaiser from being tossed off the four-wheeler. I really wonder why those kids were allowed out there. Like, they live in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere, in the middle of a literal forest, mind you, and they've got these ATVs and four-wheelers out front, all these super young kids who are, like, for the most part under like 8 years old, and there was no parental supervision as well. It's like, what the heck is up with these people? We finally get a glimpse of Corey in West Virginia as he and Leah find a new parking lot to exchange the girls in, and they talk about the teacher's email and getting an aide. Leah fears that getting an aide would actually separate Allie from her classmates, and Corey says it is what it is, and because it's inevitable, they'll have to get her used to it sooner rather than later. They also talk about how they're scared of telling Allie and hoping that it doesn't make her feel any different or less than or anything like that. This is probably like the first time in a long time where we heard that Corey was the one who was accepting the reality of Allie's condition and situation and her prognosis. And I was really proud of him actually in that scene. As always, like, it feels like we're being taken back to the first couple of times when we learned that Allie was battling with health issues. You know what I mean? Do you remember how gut-wrenching those scenes were when they were trying to understand what was going on with Allie, and now seeing it develop at this pace? It really took me back to that part, and I was just such a sympathetic mess for these two the entire episode. Meanwhile, in Dover, Kail Skypes into the live Teen Mom After Show where she announces her shameful pregnancy and refuses to name the father. Was this Teen Mom or Maury, Jerry Springer, Steve Wilkos? Because I forget. She calls Jenelle out for posting the news on Twitter before she could announce it, and Jenelle then actually almost immediately tweeted her, claiming it was Javi who announced the news by DMing the Star Glam, which I guess is one of those teen mom blogs that Jenelle runs, and confirming the pregnancy there, which was really contradictory because in the first scene of the episode, Kail told us that Jenelle told her that she heard the news from an MTV crew member. So it's like, what's the truth here? Was it a crew member? Was it Javi? Like, what's the truth? And then like her friend, who's probably on some kind of payroll, is like, oh my God, Kail, you threw so much shade. Queen, I live. And Kail thinks she's all cute. Like, oh, was that shade being thrown? It's like, girl, the only shade being thrown is your life right now. Okay, like, this is not cute. This is not funny. It doesn't matter who leaked the news. Like, at the end of the day, the whole reason you're hiding this news so badly is because it's just so dysfunctional. When Kail sees that tweet from Jenelle claiming that Javi had leaked the news via DM, the scene closes there, and MTV was so shady in their choice of photo, and I actually cackled from my seat. It was so freaking funny, you guys. If it's true, honestly, I have no shame in saying I am happy for Poppy because he deserves all the closure and pettiness he can get in that type of a situation, okay? I probably would have done the same thing if it were me who got played that hard. And actually, at that point, Kail calls him a dumb hoe, which was really, really ironic considering, well, you know. At a certain point, Kail got like so desperate for like a deflection technique that she was like, oh, I can't believe Javi would leak the story, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I've been nice. I could like leak all these photos and videos of him like doing this naked stuff with this girl, but I'm not gonna do that. And it's like, well, you already talked about it on camera, which you did on purpose. And there is no amount of deflection in this world that can take away from the fact that you are a trash ass wife, okay? No other way around it, and there's no deflection for it. And second of all, that myth or that rumor has already been debunked. It was not Javi. So you tried, sis, but it's not gonna stick. Back to Leah now. She is at home with Addie when Corey calls her to tell her that they're taking Allie to the emergency room because she's having a lot of shortness of breath, and the school had actually called him. And Leah just seemed so drained and defeated at that point. She just literally like zoned out and just stared at nothingness. And one of the Teen Mom producers thought it would be a really appropriate time to be like, so Leah, is shortness of breath like, I don't know, a symptom of muscular dystrophy? And she just stares at him like, I just got a call from my ex-husband telling me that my child is going to the emergency room. I'm just learning that my child is, you know, having issues even eating at school. And you wanna, like, what? Like, the whole thing, it was just so insensitive of this person. Brendan, that is not the way you want to make your Teen Mom debut. It was really insensitive, ill-timed, and thoughtless. I mean, at least he gave her the courtesy of being like, oh, you don't have to answer that if you don't want to. But I feel like if you have to tell someone that they don't have to answer something, you probably know that you're asking them something uncomfortable and offensive or just straight up insensitive. You know what I mean? Do better, dude, do better. Back over on the land before time, Jenelle is out watering her plants on the porch before she calls her friend Jamie to discuss the pregnancy leak. She said that her friend heard about the news from Javi, which is weird because, like I told you guys, Kail originally told us at the beginning of the episode that Jenelle privately told her that she heard the news from an MTV crew member. She claims that she's got all the proof in the world to back up her side of the story, and then she's mad at Kail for not just texting her privately about her frustrations, which is really, really ironic because she could have just texted Kail first about this whole pregnancy thing to see if it was okay to go public with it, right? Come on. Have you noticed all the tea Jenelle's been low-key dropping about like being unhappy on the land? Like, I first noticed it at the beginning of the episode and I kind of brushed it off as her just casually talking. Like, at first she was like, because the kids seemed bored in the house, you know, the ATVs and stuff weren't working, and she was like, well, there's nothing to do around here on Sundays, and she just didn't seem happy. And then while she was on the phone in the scene with her friend Jamie, she was kind of like, oh, like, you know, I only ever online shop these days, as if to say, because she's too far out to just, you know, go on a shopping trip. And it's like, I really don't think she's happy out there, despite trying to make it seem like she is. I think this is her once again kind of molding herself into her new flavor of the year. And it's just so sad how isolated she is out here. And remembering how big of a party girl she is, you just know for a fact she cannot be happy living in the middle of nowhere like that, especially at her young age too. And what's gonna happen when, not if, when she and David don't work out, like, you know what I mean? And she's just stuck out there. Ugh. In the last scene, which has to be the juiciest scene of the entire episode, Barbara picks up Jace from school and he tells her that he had a horrible time at Janelle's house and that he's really not looking forward to Jenelle and David getting married. And last but not least, Barbara asks him, hey Jace, like, do you want to go back next weekend? Are you looking forward to that? Jace is like, no, I don't want to. He doesn't really delve too much into why he doesn't like going to Jenelle and David's house, but if you just have to watch one episode of Teen Mom 2, like, you don't need, it doesn't even have to be a specific one. I can't even be like, oh, just watch episode 216, and you'll say it's like, just watch any freaking episode of Teen Mom 2, and you will easily see why Jace hates going over to see David and Jenelle. I wonder what kind of a Twitter meltdown she's had or will have over that scene being aired. She's probably gonna blame it on Barbara, claim that Barbara's coached Jace against her and everything like that. But you guys, that's the final scene of the episode, and that wraps up the 7th episode of the 8th season of Teen Mom 2. What do you have to say about all of this? I'm so excited to chat with you in the comment section down below as usual. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media where I absolutely love chatting with you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.